Under pressure to resign, Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi arrives in the southern Iraqi city of Basra, where protesters say his government is to blame for much of the corruption and neglect which have destroyed their water and power supplies and left thousands without jobs.
What happened in Basra was 100% due to a political conflict. Unfortunately, some political blocs have military wings, and some of them wanted to burn down Basra, but thankfully they were stopped by the cooperation of the peaceful civilians.
Abadi is facing calls for him to step down over the crisis in Basra. The Iraqi government is deadlocked. Disputes over the result of an election in May have left politicians wrangling over power. In Basra, fighters from the Iran-backed armed group known in English as the League of the Righteous have paraded through the streets. Their headquarters is one of several private and government buildings burned by protesters during a week of demonstrations against corruption, which also targeted other pro-Iran Shia groups. The governor of Basra says the destruction is criminal.
Many protest organizers and activists have denounced such actions. Any criminal act should be denounced by the people of Basra, regardless of who had carried it out. It is only allowed to have peaceful protests in order to deliver the people's messages to the government.
300 kilometers to the north of Basra is the city of Samawa. Protesters there tried to storm the offices of the Hikma political party, but were pushed back by police. The party's leader is Shia cleric Ammar al-Hakim, who is also part of the parliamentary coalition headed by fellow Shia cleric Muqtada al-Sadr. Seen as a nationalist and anti-Iran, Sadr is vowing to fight corruption. He's demanded that protests should halt for 45 days. In that time, he says, the government should demonstrate that it's doing something to help Basra. But critics say this short visit by the Prime Minister won't achieve much. In Basra, there's a heavy military presence, but there are fears that might incite more violence. Now, there are armed groups too. That could make politics and security even more complicated in Basra. Matheson, Al Jazeera, Baghdad.